What was set to be a landmark meeting between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Budapest has been abruptly scrapped after Moscow sent what officials described as a list of maximalist demands to end the war in Ukraine, the Financial Times reported on Friday. The Kremlin's tough stance, demanding territorial concessions from Kyiv and a permanent bar on Ukraine joining NATO, effectively torpedoed what could have been the most consequential US-Russia dialogue since the war began. According to the Financial Times, the decision to cancel the summit followed a tense phone call between Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The exchange reportedly left Washington convinced that Moscow had no real interest in negotiation. Rubio, after briefing Trump, recommended halting preparations for the Budapest talks. Within hours, the White House announced the meeting was off. The planned summit had raised global anticipation after Trump and Putin tentatively agreed to meet in the Hungarian capital to discuss pathways to ending the conflict. But Moscow's formal memo to Washington shattered those hopes. Russian diplomats reiterated that Ukraine must cede additional territory and dramatically scale down its military as part of any ceasefire, conditions the US and Kyiv viewed as impossible to accept. Trump, who has repeatedly urged both sides to seek an immediate ceasefire on current lines, found himself confronting an uncompromising Kremlin. The Memo, FT reported, cited what Putin calls the root causes of his invasion, including security guarantees that Ukraine would never join NATO. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, meanwhile, has tried to project openness while holding firm. Speaking earlier this month, he stressed that Kyiv would not withdraw from any additional territory merely to bring Moscow to the table.
Everything Putin does is an attempt to delay new forms of pressure. We must create in Russia a will to negotiate, and I will ready to meet in any meaningful format, and the current line of contact could be the starting point of negotiations, real negotiations.
As diplomatic hopes dimmed, tensions escalated on another front. Earlier this week, Putin announced that Russia had completed testing of 2 nuclear-capable systems, a nuclear-powered cruise missile dubbed Burevestnik and an unmanned submarine known as Poseidon. Both, he claimed, would give Russia an unprecedented tactical edge. The chilling display of Russia's nuclear ambitions prompted a swift response from Washington. Trump said he had ordered the Pentagon to resume nuclear weapons testing on a level with China and Russia, reigniting fears of a revived global arms race.
Why did you write your Truth Social about nuclear testing? What about resuming nuclear testing? What prompted you to do that right before the meeting?
It had to do with others. They seem to all be nuclear testing.
Russia?
We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We've halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
The cancellation of the Budapest summit now leaves Washington and Moscow locked in a perilous cycle, one where failed diplomacy and renewed nuclear brinkmanship seem to feed off each other. What began as a potential turning point for peace has instead deepened the divide. Setting the stage for a new era of confrontation neither side appears ready to step back from.